Hey there, my name is Tracy from Randomness of Rudy, and in this video we're going to talk about Pisces in a relationship with Gemini, the twins. This is a part of my YouTube series, The Pisces Experience, where I take a look at Pisces in a relationship with each sign of the zodiac. So if you haven't seen the first video I did where I go a bit more in depth on what it's actually like to date a Pisces, please go back and check that out. Pisces with Gemini is a tricky match. Gemini is an air sign, Pisces is a water sign. The elements alone don't go well together. Gemini is an energy that's very communicative and likes to learn and enjoys, meeting new people, absorbing information, knowledge, and needs that local stimulus and that mental stimulation. And that's all fine and well, except Pisces is a water sign. And Pisces is very spiritual, and Pisces is very abstract. And to Gemini, Pisces may seem a bit, airy, if you will, and kind of, embody this pie in the sky persona. And Gemini may feel like there isn't anything there for it to grab in the form of mental stimulation and the information that Gemini requires on a daily basis. Pisces will engage Gemini, but Pisces, for the most part, prefers to, intuit things and absorb emotions and help others uplift themselves spiritually speaking, emotionally speaking. And so, in other words, Pisces is not as mercurial as Gemini can be. And so this definitely speaks of a disconnect between you, in other words, and it's something that you will have to make adjustments with if you expect this relationship to go the distance. Meanwhile, as far as lovemaking goes, it's so-so with regards to your sexual compatibility. Gemini is very light in the bedroom and doesn't really care for any kind of serious, heavy, dense experience. And Pisces is not dense with his or her energy in the bedroom, not like Scorpio. But Pisces does require that type of transcendental connection when it comes to lovemaking. And so, in other words, Pisces may be the one to introduce different types of spiritual oneness qualities to the bedroom. And Gemini may be game for it, but Gemini would probably eventually get bored. And so this is something to keep in mind. You both can engage in lovemaking that is somewhat detached, but Pisces doesn't really want to be detached when it comes to lovemaking. And so you may have to make some adjustments in the bedroom. As far as your disagreements, this is another area to watch. Gemini is, as I said, very communicative and is able to discuss things. And Pisces as well, but it still may feel like you're at an impasse in that even though you can talk things out, it never really feels as if things are resolved. Gemini is an energy that will assume, well, we've talked about it, so it must be done and over with. Whereas Pisces, is so intuitive that if it doesn't feel like something's resolved, then it's not going to be resolved for Pisces. And so even though you're both very flexible and you're able to adapt to each other's style of communicating, you're really going to have to try a little bit harder in actually hearing one another and understanding one another, and then of course doing what's necessary in order to resolve the grievance that comes up. Okay, so this is a difficult match, but it's not to say that this couldn't go the distance. It just requires some effort and adjustments on both your parts. If you want more information, feel free to visit my website at randomnessofrudy.com, and until next time, good luck.